Welcome to Live Vedanta, a podcast about simple living and high thinking, where we are sharing insights on courageous caregiving through Vibhishana Gita. So we often engage in conflict most often with those who are closest to us, and this can drain our energy and strain our relationships. Join us as we explore what practices can help us build up a shield that protects us from conflict through Virati, or independence.
Hari Om and greetings from Bengaluru. On Thursday, Shukavyasa flew from Toronto to Frankfurt. We arrived in Bengaluru early on Saturday morning. And when we left our plane and then we filled out our customs forms and then waited in the e-visa line, it was like the spaces were getting tighter and tighter and tighter, smaller and smaller and smaller. Now our kids, who have a lot of energy, and they've been traveling for so long, when they were in this tight, small space, their energy was being expressed, and it was getting louder and louder and louder. They were talking louder, they were touching more, bumping around. And this naturally felt unhealthy. Unhealthy for me, unhealthy for them. I share this because we were fortunate. We were able to get through customs, pick up our bags, and then proceed with our journey. But some seekers, some parents, some caregivers, they normalize this noise, this loudness. It may start outside, but if it's normalized, then it stays inside. Our parenting culture, our caregiving space is a reminder not to normalize this. That this is unhealthy. I've been sharing in different forums how an expression of fearlessness is silence. The one who's fearless, their mind doesn't oscillate, doesn't vacillate. Their mind is still and beyond. Now that sounds awesome. How does one reach this fearlessness or silence? It is through courage. The more courageous we are, the more quiet we are. And this is why we are focusing on courageous parenting, caregiving. There are going to be more experiences, more extreme experiences of tightness, smallness, noise, loudness. Please don't normalize this. Please catch yourself and then move in the opposite direction. How? In our exploration of self-development this year, some of the recent facets that we have studied in terms of Sri Rama's chariot. Number 7 was the value of discipline. Everyone we admire, they are admirable on account of their discipline. Whether it's a musical leader or a political leader or a spiritual leader, they are leading themselves and so leading others. They are disciplined and so can facilitate discipline. Number 8, empathy. The Sanskrit word for empathy is parahita. If we zoom into the word hita, it means to be useful. And para means useful for others. We all want our kids to be useful for us. To set the table, to clean the table, to graduate from college, to remember the sacrifices we've made. For us to encourage them to be useful, we also have to be useful, not just to ourselves, but to others. Number 9, forgiveness. A way that helps me to practice forgiveness is remembering what others have done for me. Suppose my mother is bothering me, or my sister wronged me, etc. But if I remember, my mother has done all of this for me, my sister has done all of this for me, it becomes smoother for me to forgive them, more natural. Number 10, kindness, kripa. When we were growing up, we would watch shows, whether it's cartoons or kids' shows where there are pleasant people like Mr. Rogers. Often I would hear this term, random acts of kindness. It is to be kind to random people. And why random people? Because you're not doing it for an exchange then. That is a cool practice for every person, every family, is random acts of kindness. Number 11, balance. An awesome teaching that is in the form of a riddle to help us not take matters so seriously. This riddle is, what 4-word phrase, and each word has 4 letters, all in English. When you say this to a happy person, it's as if they become sad. And when you say this to a sad person, they do become happy. The answer to this riddle, which is a reminder to ourselves, is even this will pass. Whatever is making you feel imbalanced right now, if you are reminded, if you remember, even this will pass, it won't have a heavy weight on you. You won't take it so seriously. I'm rewinding and pushing. The more humans, animals, plants, stones that you have to care for, the more possibility there is for noise and loudness. I'm in Bengaluru. There's more people here, and so there's more noise. Loudness. That loudness certainly is measured by decibels, but also in the mind. And we are trying to catch ourselves not to normalize this by cultivating courage. That even if there's noise outside, for me to be quiet inside, with the trajectory to be fearless, and that is felt as silence. How do we catch ourselves? It is by reminding ourselves of what we know to be right, what we know to be valuable. I've just reviewed the values, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and reaching half of the values that are shared in the Gita to Vibhishana in the Ramayana is bhajana. I think I had, by mistake, told you that bhajana is number 13, but bhajana is number 12. We have completed half of Sri Rama's chariot, and this is such an important value that I'm going to review this again, and then we'll keep moving forward. Bhajana has many meanings. The one that we are using is surrender. This is described as the sarathi of this chariot. You have the chariot, you have the charioteer. In the Bhagavad Gita, the sarathi is Shri Krishna. And Prince Arjuna did follow through with the bhajana to Shri Krishna. He surrendered to Shri Krishna. And that's why he was victorious inside and the winner outside. That's at a scriptural level. In a worldly way, the Sarati, or the charioteer, in an organization would be the steering committee. In Niagara and Cleveland, we have steering committees, and then we have working committees. So here, the Sarati would be the steering committee that's guiding us in how we should serve. And then we have working committees that work to manifest this guidance. Sharing some more. Sujana means intelligent. Parents, caregivers who are intelligent, they make Isha or divinity their intelligence. And I earlier shared, they make the ideal in the intellect their guide, their North Star. And zooming into this more, the one who is intelligent and makes divinity their intelligence, their strength, that naturally means they are a theist. And a theist is one who outwardly works harder and inwardly worries less. The theist cares for another and others the way they care for themselves. So outwardly they work harder and inwardly they worry less because they can feel divinity. That divinity is looking at them, divinity is looking after them. Making this more local or personal. It is those who are intelligent that can improve the intelligence of those they're caring for. Every one of you has a high EQ, has a high SQ, and so you can help those you're caring for to go from IQ to be more intelligent, that is EQ, to be more intelligent, that is SQ. But if you don't have this intelligence, how can you help others improve their intelligence? My final reflection on the 12th value in the Gita to Vibhishana. This is completing half of the values. Bhajana or surrender. Earlier I'd shared, you can't jump to surrender, but this has to be cultivated. Yesterday, you would have seen our poster for Efforts for Equality. Our team will be making an announcement about this shortly. And the slogan for Efforts for Equality, at least for this year, is, I briefly shared it or saw it. It was, the more we nourish, the more we flourish. And I love that connection. By nourishing, other words for that are cultivating, developing, etc., we're actually flourishing. There's an exponential growth. How does one cultivate bhajana or surrender? Sit, sing, seek, support. That's giving resources. Serve, giving time. Surrender, giving effort. Practice these 6 S's together, you and your partner, you and the younger generation. What an awesome opportunity in terms of habit development, lifestyle training, that there's a whole methodology to doing so. We have completed Sri Rama's chariot. We have completed Sri Rama's charioteer. These are 12 values that if we value them, we will feel more courageous and quiet. Now, the final facet of Sri Rama's Gita to Vibhishana is focusing on his weapons, some of which are defensive, some of which are offensive. Number 13. This is the first of the weapons, which is defensive. This is the charama. Charama means shield. What is that which can shield us from life, from creation, from duality, from difficulty, from conflict? It is Virati, which in English means independence. You have to keep on visualizing. The more you visualize this divine charioteer weapons, the more you will remember, the more you will practice. The first of the weapons is defensive. It is a shield, the shield of independence. Here are some reflections. When we start to understand life, creation, duality, difficulty, conflict, when we start to understand articles, beings, and circumstances, we come to understand that they are not dependable. And if they are not dependable, then why would I depend on them? Especially for that which is authentic and deep, like my sense of completion, even my sense of security. This would be an unwise way to live. It would be a poor investment. So it's only through understanding that we depend less and we interdepend more. When I understand my wife is like this, my kids are like this, when I understand my profession is like this, my relations are like this, they're all seeking independence, which means they're not dependable, then what I try to get from them, what I try to extract from them is functional and not fundamental. Functional and not fundamental. How we can reach this understanding, how we can further this understanding, is start with labeling less. When you feel an entity is real, when you feel an entity can provide for you, you label it. With this is good, this is bad, I like this, I dislike this, that's a source of joy, that's a source of sorrow. That labeling deepens to likes. In Pujya Swami Tejomayananda's commentary on Vibhishana Gita, he has shared the enemy that we need to protect ourselves from, what we need to shield ourselves with or from, is raga. Raga in a light way is likes. Like I like dosa more than I like idli. But when that like is not understood, it ferments or becomes more toxic in the form of attachment. Attachment. So the more I label, the more I like, the more I feel limited. If you've ever seen the movie Heat, the old school movie with Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, and so on, Robert De Niro's philosophy is you should be able to walk away from everything you have in 30 seconds. That's how independently one should live. And he used to preach this, but at the end of the movie, he is the one who couldn't free himself from an insult that someone had caused him. He was so attached almost to his pride that nobody can treat me poorly. And so he goes for this revenge, and it causes his loss of life and so on. So those likes become limitations. If you reflect on all of your attachments, they inhibit you from moving forward freely. I'm rewinding. then we'll keep moving forward to the completion of our reflection on this verse, on this value. Virati means independence. Independence means not to depend. How do I do that? Through understanding if I depend on that or those which are not dependable, it only makes me feel more dependent or insecure. But through a space and a time like parenting culture, we do understand our experiences, our equipments, our ego are not dependable. And so we should only be functional with all of them. Then it helps me to evolve from being dependent to being interdependent. Interdependent. I can evolve from dependence to interdependence by labeling less, which will help me like less, which will help me limit less, as in feel less limited. This momentum from dependence to interdependence will lead to independence. Independence means depending on the inside, depending on the source of joy, which is one's center, which is Rama. And you must have heard this before. Outside drama, inside Rama. That should be the experience of every parent or caregiver. Obviously, there's going to be drama outside, but inside to feel that Rama. Our team has worked in a sattvic, smart way to put together the 24-25 parenting workbook, the Courageous Parenting Workbook, and I really like with so many other values, all of it, the inspiration, the reflection, the application, but particularly the reflection and application. And so I'm going to ask all of you to close your eyes while I read the reflection for the 13th value, which is Virati, or independence. Reflect on the past week. When and why did you think to yourself, I will be happy when ... And the application. Conduct experiments each week that allow you to challenge the things that supposedly bring you happiness. After each week, reflect on how your happiness was impacted. Stretch, inhale, open your eyes and smile. Pujaswami Chinmaya shared, knowing is not doing, doing is doing. Inspiration is almost like knowing. Reflection is like knowing, doing. It is the application that is the doing. This is where we start to evolve from being loud parents to quiet parents. From caregivers to cheerful caregivers. Virati. Arm yourself with this shield. So powerful, so practical.
If you enjoyed what you heard or want to learn more, share this episode with a friend or find us online at facebook.com/cmniagara. For those on the journey of self-development, Chinmaya Mission Niagara provides a community forum for seekers to listen, reflect, and contemplate. This podcast is produced by the Young Adults of Chinmaya Mission, an international nonprofit working to transform individuals through the knowledge of Vedanta. Until next time, inspire, love, be.